ride. Almost at the club, baby.
Okay, so I'm back now. It is officially the next day. I didn't know that there apparently is a shortage of this. There's other brands, but I wanted this brand because this is what I'm used to, and I have a steel gasket, so that's why I didn't want to just slap it on there. But I ended up needing a O-ring for this one, and I needed an O-ring for the other line, this one down here. So I changed these out. Unwritten rule, but it's a fact. Change whatever you can while you're in here, because you do not want to have to come back. So it is just me doing this whole thing by myself. So, and the head is already heavy with the cams on it and stuff. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about trying to get it in there with the exhaust on, but either way I'd have to drop the exhaust down the bottom down there and then do it. But I'm gonna drop the chain down further, like right about there. Drop the chain, then I'll install the tensioner as much as I can, just so that this will be up out of my way and I can just drop the head right over it. But I'm gonna get the gasket. I'm gonna get the gasket all sprayed up with the copper, lay it down, and then we'll see what I'm gonna do about putting this head on by myself. So let's go ahead and get to it. I may not show you guys my struggle though. Quick news flash. I just got hit with a hard one. The tensioner goes right here, so I can't do that. So besides being stupid, this is gonna be even harder. So we'll see what I'm gonna do about this, because this is getting even worse and worse. First shot! First shot. First shot. That's all I needed. Got everything dropped down. Let me grab the flashlight. That looks good to me. That lined up. Everything is lined up in here. As you can see, what I did there is I wrapped a zip tie, big zip tie, and gave me enough leverage, more than enough leverage that I needed. So you can also do that too. I'm gonna go ahead and install the bolts so this mess doesn't move. And once I'm ready, I'll start showing you guys all the timing and everything like that. The bolts use a little bit of oil, not a lot of oil, to install in there. And remember, I already put the washers in, so let me go ahead and start putting them in. Alright, so I ended up running them down just a little bit, not too much, because obviously I've got to torque them and everything like that. The next thing that I'm going to install is the bolts that go on the sides. Oops, I kicked that. The bolts that go on the sides of the timing chain covers. So the longer one goes up top here, has more distance to travel, is higher up. And then the shorter one goes down here on the left side. I'm not sure of the actual torque form, so just tighten them down. But I ran them down just a little bit, and I'm not tightening them completely yet because I don't want to mess up the orientation of torquing the head. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to torque these down. I've got my E12 torques that I'm going to use on them. I can drop right in there And also, how you know the cam is in the right spot, there's grooves that you can get into there. So let's go ahead and get some torquing done, and then we will be ready to go. All right, so the torque for this is going to be, first is going to be 40 newton meters, which is approximately 30 foot-pounds. So I have a foot-pound torque wrench and newton meters on it, but I'm just going to use the foot-pounds. That's what I'm used to. So I've also got my phone here with a picture of it. You can't really see that properly. Maybe if I get closer. Yeah, there we go. So with all my stuff that I need, screenshot that if you need it. And let's get it. So 30 foot-pounds, that's what I'm gonna do first, and then it's gonna be 290 degrees. So I'm gonna start, this will be 11, 9, 3, and 1. So I'm gonna start here. Go ahead and tighten this up. Not yet. There we go. So it's 1. And then you'll work your way in type of circular motion. So this will be 2. Come across here. Well, not actually circular now that I look at it. 3. 4. So on and so forth, as you can see on the little picture that I showed you. I'm not about to count all these, but you get what I'm doing. I'm going to show you all of them though, because this is the actual important part. We'll go here. Second from the back. 7. Second from the front. Long drawn out process, but it's important. Okay, after this, we'll need 290 degrees. I do not have a 90-degree torque wrench, so what I'm going to use is this. Let's see if you can see it properly. Maybe. There we go. So I'm going to use this. I need to get an adapter for it, so I'm going to get the adapter, and then I'm going to do that. Well, I can't find my adapter for the step down. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna put some more stuff on, bolt up a few things. I'm going to also change the vacuum stuff, like these right here, all these hoses out, and then I'm going to end up needing to go find an adapter. So let me go ahead and knock these out. All it is these 2 nuts, and then you're just pulling off the hoses. So let me do that now. Okay, well, I cannot find my adapter, so I'm gonna need to purchase another one. But I really need to get this car back on the road as soon as possible, because some other things happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on to the timing, and then tomorrow before I go to work, I'll do the exhaust, because I really wanted to put the exhaust in while I was doing this, but it just wasn't feasible, it wasn't smart, and I probably messed something up. So now I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the timing. I'll do my best to show exactly what I'm doing, everything with the timing. I'll even talk through it and show you guys what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and start some timing on the M54 engine. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and install the cam locking tool back here. I had already had it set, so everything is like set and flush. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that right there. I'll get my 13mm and tighten these down so that it's not moving. I still have the pin installed down bottom, so after I install that, then I'm going to go ahead and do the first gear on here for the main timing chain. Alright, the first gear that I'm going to be putting on is the original gear from the farthest back, the main timing chain gear. So on here you can see it has a little mark. That mark is supposed to line up with right here on the cylinder head. If you can see it, I don't know if you can, but I put a mark here originally when I took it off to make sure that I knew exactly where it's going. So I'm gonna put that one right about there. Let me see if I can do it so that you guys can see it and I can actually work properly. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take this, pull the chain out as much as possible. Not there, one down, boom, it's in. Go ahead and wrap the rest of the chain on, make sure I'm still at that mark, and then I'll slide it on just like this. So now that that's on, alright, looks good. You wanna make sure you pull it this way to make sure that it's lined up, because remember there's gonna be tension down here on the tensioner, so you want to make sure it's lined up over here. So it's aiming towards this, and we're good there, we've got tension. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the new chain tensioner guide that I got after I broke the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this tensioner in. Boom. You know that the cam is set up right because there's a slot where this bolt can go into. Really long bolt goes up top, push down, make sure it goes all the way down, and then the shorter one goes down bottom here, as you can see it. So I'll put that in there. Remember, I'm pretty sure it's T8, I think. So I've got my E8. Gotta tighten that down a bit. Gotta tighten that one down a bit. I don't remember the tension for these, but I'm just tightening them down. That's good enough. I'll probably check them in a little bit with my hand. So that's in. So now let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and install the Vanoss tensioner. You'll have 4 bolts. Longest one goes in the front. They're all 10mm. Longest one goes in the front. Got that threaded. Then you go 2 mediums right in the back up top here. And then you'll go, the smaller one will go at the very back. Put those on. I'm not sure of the torque for any of this stuff. I'm pretty sure if you just Google it, you'll find it. I just go until it's tight enough, and you know, just don't overdo it. That's the basis of this whole job. And I'll tighten this one down here. Cool, that's installed. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna install the timing chain tensioner, out of the kit that I got. I'm just gonna go ahead and thread it in as much as I can. It gets all the way down. As soon as it gets all the way down, you'll just go ahead and see that. Just start tightening it up. I'm gonna rotate this so it gives a little help. Tighten it up until it's supposed to be like a little bit of tension. So that's all I'm gonna do. I tighten it up until it stops. Make sure that my line is still set over here. And then we're gonna go ahead and install the next portion. Okay, so next we're gonna install this piece here, these two pieces. So short side, it goes inward. These only go on a certain way. You'll see that the missing tooth is there, and then also there's a missing tooth on here. So I'll push this one back, make sure I have it right there. Try to slide that on. There we go, it's on there. Push it in, push it back, just like that. That's how it's gonna adjust. So the next thing we're gonna install is the 3 screws that go all the way down into the camshaft. So you'll install these round end, this little spacer end where the other parts go on. It's gonna go inward. Just throw them in. One side is too small, so that's why you're gonna use this. Here, just throw them in until they're all the way down. Good enough. And then just do the same thing with the others. These are 12 millimeters. Make sure before you torque them, I've got it set to 20 newton meters or 15 foot-pounds. Make sure before you start torquing anything, you've got your cam tool locked at the back. So 12 millimeter, torque these. There we go. There we go, torque down. Okay, so normally you're supposed to set this up where these holes right here are in the middle. However, if you do that, once you put the alignment jig that pushes this back, you won't really get it to move. So I'm going to pull mine out a little bit to like right to the edge, so that once I put the alignment tool on, it'll actually push it back, because that's what the tool is supposed to do. So now I've taken the other piece, the other small piece that pushes in, out. I had mine on the setup that it was supposed to stay on. So I'm going to just put this over here. I'm going to use this this piece right here to line it up. And then once I do that, I'll slide this on over. So let me try to do that now. Down here with it. Oh wow, that's crazy. First shot, I got it on. Let me put this down here. Boom, first try, it's on. That's impressive. I impress myself sometimes. So now, I'm going to go ahead and install the spacer. Spacer will go over these right here. Push it back. Move this a little bit. That moves still. Make sure to keep this one out. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and install these bolts right here. Don't install them too tight. You gotta make sure that it can actually move. I'm just hand tightening them. Just hand tight so it can move in case it needs to. Alrighty. So now that we've got those in, the next thing we're going to install is the spring tension plate. Install that over the holes. And then the next thing that we're going to install is this plate. The front plate. It has the same dowel over here. So this dowel is obviously going to go on here, line up with the outside. Let's see if I can get it on. Yep, I can get it on. spring tension, so I need to go ahead and get the nuts and put on there. Then we'll go ahead and put the nuts on here. Still got that pulled out, just making sure. Next thing we've got is this plate that says front on it. You can't really see it properly because, oh, there it is. Yeah, so got that. We'll install that on there. Just like that. Put the nuts on. Everything will be loosely installed so that it can move once you're setting up the timing. And then one down here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we'll press down on the tensioner, pull out the pin, and let it up. And then we'll preload this spring by pressing on it just with your hand, tightening it down, pressing down the bottom, tightening it with your hand, and the same thing here. Now we'll install the tool here. So now that these are pulled out as much as possible, once you install this tool, it'll position them right into the perfect spot. So go ahead and put these in, thread them in. I'll run them down really quick. We'll just tighten back and forth in order to make sure we get the proper alignment. Alrighty, so once we tighten these all the way down, everything will line up properly. So let me go ahead and start tightening. So as you can see, it's pushing in. There we go. Let's tighten this one a little more. I'll use a wrench to tighten that. 13 millimeter, 10 millimeters. That's good. So now once I did that, some of the teeth was showing here, but now it's not showing anymore. So to push that in, and it also did the same thing to push this one in since we left those loosened. Okay, so now that's installed. We're gonna tighten everything to initial torque of 5 Newton meters, which is 44 inch-pounds, which is not that much at all. So final torque on the Torx is 177 inch-pounds, which I believe is 20 Newton meters. Yeah, that feels about right. That other initial torque, I guess, was just to seat everything. There we go. And now the final torque on the other ones is, I believe, 10 or 5 Newton meters, 71 inch-pounds. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do before I remove this or the locking pin at the bottom and rotate the crank to make sure the timing is good, I'm going to do the 290 degrees on here. I've got my adapter now, so I can actually do that. This is the setup I will be using. Drop it in there, set this to 0 degrees wherever I can on here, and follow the pattern, and then I'll do that twice. Well, we are almost done. My camera died last night when I was about to do the torquing for the head. My best suggestion is to get a digital torque wrench that does angling, so you don't have to deal with the foolishness that I had to deal with, because that tool is absolutely trash. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to, I already put almost all the intake and everything in there last night. I was working hard last night, so I'm gonna make sure everything is good. Gonna rotate the crank a little bit and see what's good with that, and then I should be ready to put valve cover and everything on. Like I said, I'm trying to rush this now. I wish I didn't have to, but I'm just gonna work really quick, probably film a little bit of it. So let's go ahead and knock some stuff out. So what I'm gonna do now, just to check my work basically, I'm going to rotate the engine over 1 full turn. That'll be 2 turns of the crank, and we'll see if everything was done properly. Back to top dead center. These are still good. And now what I'm going to do is put the locking pin back in, just to make sure it's in the right spot. That'll probably be hard since I got all that stuff in there. Then I'm also going to put the blocks back on. Okay, so I verified everything was good. It lined up properly. As you can probably still see, I pulled the blocks back off and put those studs in. But the cams, the 2 dots, are still at the top, and then the mark down here is still at the edge of the head. So now I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. Gonna go ahead and what else? Put the Vanoss back on with the gasket. Make sure to put the gasket on, lube up the gasket or whatever. And then I'm going to slap on the valve cover, wires, and everything. Like I said, not gonna film all that, but I'm going to get this car running today. So let me stop playing around and get to it.